Good afternoon to the film analysis fourth period class featuring Mr. Barker, who's outside right now filming us. So shout out to Mr. Barker and the management team. So today we're going to be talking about our top 3 films of first semester of film analysis.
So the third best film we've seen so far is The Graduate. Something that really struck me when we were watching the film was the use of match cuts. For example, when Benjamin jumps into the pool and that transitions to the shot of him jumping into the bed with Mrs. Robinson. The cut just has really good continuity, diegetic sounds overlap. It's a really, really good transition, and it's something that I thought was really important.
I'd like to talk about the musical score in this movie. It's probably one of the most apparent things that you notice is every time something bad or good happens, not every time, but most times something happens, it plays The Sound of Silence, and then at the very end, it plays Mrs. Robinson while he's driving. And it can be used in a happy way or a sad way, and it just works out like that during the movie, and I think it's really great.
This is an example of a montage as well, every time it was used. And it just showed little changes in character every single time, but there were similarities with the Simon and Garfunkel songs.
Yeah, similar to Harold and Maude when they use the song during the montage, it does it too in The Graduate.
I want to talk about how morals is used inside this movie. Often the main character Ben tries to be an upright guy and tries to do what he thinks he should do, but throughout the film he starts to lose his morals and just do whatever he wants to do instead of doing what he thinks is the right thing to do. He gives up on being with Mrs. Robinson though, so that shows maybe he hasn't lost all of his morals. Maybe he thinks, no, that's wrong.
Going off of that, in the beginning, he seems like this person who can't really stand up for himself. Like when he's in the house with Miss Robinson and she tells him, come upstairs. No, we're gonna stay here. And he's like, I should probably go. And she's like, no, you're not going. And then towards the end, he pretty much goes and does what he wants. And he crashes a wedding because he's trying to get the girl that he loves, which is a completely different person than who he was at the beginning when he's in the house.
And it's like how at the beginning of the movie, he kept saying he doesn't know what he wants. But at the end of the movie, he figures out what he wants. He goes to the wedding and he takes what he wants.
Yeah.
This also ties into the theme of a loss of innocence. At the beginning of the film, obviously Benjamin's very naive and he doesn't really know anything about the world. He just graduated college and he's just at home by himself. And Mrs. Robinson kind of helps him, break out of that innocence. And obviously still there are moral conflictions there, but eventually the person that really gets him to lose all innocence is Elaine. We just see his progression from a very innocent person to a person who's more knowledgeable through his experiences throughout the film. So the second best film that we've watched so far is American Beauty.
I think one of the most important things to talk about in American Beauty is the characterization. The way Lester changes over time, I feel like it all starts from the one point, which is when he meets Angela for the first time and he sees her. After that, he starts doing questionable things. He starts working out. He starts smoking weed from Ricky. He just changes. He starts not caring about his relationship with Carolyn. And I think it all starts from that one point, and the actions just show how he changes. I also think that when Carolyn changes, it all starts from when she really learns about Lester and how he cares. She starts changing. He starts hanging out with Buddy and starts shooting guns and stuff like that, and starts cheating on him.
It's like the butterfly effect. One thing causes the next thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Another important part of this movie is symbolism. Often throughout the movie, they use roses to show important scenes. And not just any rose, but a specific rose, the American Beauty rose. And the American Beauty rose is known for being very beautiful on the outside, but it has rotten roots.
I think you can connect the rose to Carolyn a lot of the time, because on the outside, she's very fake. She puts on a facade. I think one of the most important things also is when she's talking to Buddy Kane, and they're talking about always have the perception of success on the outside. I think she's doing that in her personal life too, how she's acting she's in love with her husband and stuff like that, but really she's not, just how the rose is beautiful on the outside but not.
How oftentimes when she's alone, she's always crying and sad and patronizing herself for being weak on the inside.
I think this relates to something that Lester said to Colonel Fitz. When Colonel Fitz asked him, you don't care that your wife's gone with another man? He just said, no, we use our marriage as a cover-up to make us look normal. Yeah. And I think the rose is kind of symbolic of that. They want to look normal on the outside, but inside they have a lot of problems. The number one film that we watched this year has to be Do the Right Thing. The thing that struck me the most was the use of color. Obviously, Spike Lee wanted to kind of immerse you in this like extremely like sweltering environment, and so he used bright colors, a lot of reds, and not a lot of cool colors. It really established the sense of environment.
The shop is always brightly lit, while the background is normally very dull in comparison. Show that like stands out a lot more.
Yeah, I think another thing that was big was symbolism. Obviously, you have love and hate on Radio Raheem's fists, and basically love and hate kind of corresponds with obviously Martin Luther King and Malcolm X's ideals. Also throughout the film, like something else was Fight the Power, which was playing on Radio Raheem's radio, and I think that was symbolic for the people in the neighborhood just wanting to uprise. I think it was kind of foreshadowing the raid on Sal's Pizzeria.
The song that was playing, Fight the Power, was also playing at the beginning and the end of the movie. So it showed that it was a really important concept for the movie.
So like tied it together. Another thing going off of symbolism, I'd say two people that represent like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X is I think DeMare represents Martin Luther King, and then Bugging Out represents Malcolm X, because you see what they do. The mayor doesn't really get mad. He like helps resolve things. Like when people are fighting, he's like don't fight, like love each other and stuff like that. And then when Bugging Out gets mad that he's not able to get extra cheese on his pizza, he just starts yelling and gets really annoyed by it. And then finally at the end,
He decides to fight back.
he starts to fight back. Yeah. Thank you for watching Fourth Period Film Analysis featuring Mr. Barker and the management team. This has been Evan, Simon, and Logan's top 3 films. Thank you.